Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Pravino. If you are new, this might not be the first video you need to watch. Check the previous video. So we would continue from where we stopped the last time. Remember, I asked you to make this pap yourself. It doesn't even take me up to 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to, draw some, irregular pattern, and that's all. So we'll give this pap the I think it has the color already, so I'm in shading, and to see the color I'm gonna try to click the material preview. And currently, if you look at the pap, it is too shining, and you want to turn down the spectacular a bit. You might want to give your roughness 0.5, something like that, and let's turn up the spectacular entirely. I think this will do. um, this is our pap, and we are done with the pap. The next thing we need to do is add, make a spoon, model a spoon. So we have the pap, we have the plate. I'm gonna add the pap here. I have an extra object here, so I'm gonna delete this. Now add the pap, add the plate, and then I'm gonna start with the spoon. So to create the spoon, I'm gonna first go into the top view, and I really don't know. Let's see. I know what a spoon looks like, but I'm going to need a rough sketch here, something like this, to kind of like follow. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a rough sketch, something like this. And I think I might have to go to the kitchen and take a real spoon so that I have. Now that we have our annotation drawn and we have a rough sketch, we want to add a pen and go to edit mode, go to Vertex Selection mode, and we're gonna start from, scaling this guy from the x-axis, and make it not as something like this. You can draw your annotation if you want. If you don't, there's no problem. You can always do a guesswork since you are very familiar with spawn. I'm gonna, grab this in the x-axis and move it all the way here. I'm gonna select these two vertices and then move them all the way here. And currently proportional editing is turned on, so I'm gonna turn it off in case you are seeing some weird stuff. I'm using this move tool to move my vertices around. So from here, I'm gonna scale this guy up a little bit in the y-axis. You can also use this scale tool, scale it up a little bit. You don't have to follow the annotation strictly, it's just for it to guide us. So we now want to make the tip of the spoon. So you select these two vertices and press E to extrude. I'll select this move option and then move it all the way here. Okay, so I'm gonna press Ctrl R or choose this edge loop and put it right here. The reason why I don't really like to use this one is when you put it, you still have it. I mean, you can still continue putting edge loop. So I don't like that effect. I'm just gonna press Ctrl R once and right click to drop it to exactly where it needs to be immediately after you add it. So I'm gonna scale this in the y axis like this. Okay, this is still looking weird, and I think the mouth of the phone we drew with the annotation is kind of small, so I'm gonna start to scale this even beyond the annotation drawing annotation line. I'm gonna add another edge here with Ctrl R. I'm gonna add another one before I scale that one. I want to scale these four vertices at a time. Press S and Y and then scale it like this, just in the y-axis, and then select this guy. I think we want to move this guy forward a little bit more, something like that. If If I add an edge loop here, let's see. Okay, so I want to slide this guy so that we have the same size of faces. This and this are roughly the same size. So I'm gonna scale this guy up in the y-axis a little bit like this, and I'm going to add an edge loop at the center like this. I'm gonna select this vertex, and then I'm gonna move it forward to give to make it sharp like a real spoon. I think this is too much. I'm gonna scale this down in the y-axis like that. Okay, so we're gonna add our annotation now. Just click the annotation tool and then click that add icon. So right now this phone is flat, and it's just a base shape. So what you can do, if we need to give it some thickness so that we can see it in the front view. And then all these angles, we need to get rid of them, and we can do that with the subdivision modifier. But right now, if I should add the subdivision surface, you can see that we are having some weird results here. If I click on if I go to edit mode and you look at this side closely, you can see our original shape and the effect of the subdivision modifier. Subdivision is just trying to smooth out the vertices. So before we start to add, before we add subdivision, we kind of want to like hold these edges. I mean, all these edges, we want to hold them together. So if you want to hold them, you need to kind of like add edge loop. So I'm gonna press Ctrl R to add an edge loop, and I'll drag it all the way down here. Okay, you see that we no longer have that effect around here, so we're gonna do this, add another one, try to hold this area together. So the closer the loop, I mean, it's if you want to hold an area together, you need to add more edge loop. So if you can see, we still have some things going on around here, so I kind of want to add one more here, and you can see that we've gotten rid of that one. Okay, so we still have some curve here that we don't like, so the next thing to do is to add an edge loop around this area. Let me move closer to. Okay, the edge loop is actually going to go all the way from here to here, you can see. So I want to zoom in on this guy so that you see how it hold that area for us, like we are kind of holding it tight. And then we do the same thing to this other side, and then you can see that now we have a better shape with the subdivision turned on. We no longer have these angles. And one more thing is we want to give it some thickness, because if this point is not selected right now, you cannot see it in your viewport. So to be able to see it, like, we have to give it some thickness. But before that, we want to make this area have an hole in this area. We want to, how do we do that? You kind of want to turn on the proportional editing. A spoon is not as this flat. We need to give it some bulge, and I'm going to select these two areas, I mean these two vertices, and then turn on proportional editing. So depending on the amount of influence you have, to check the amount of influence, you can press G, and the proportional editing is only going to affect the area this circle can reach. So right now I want to confirm if it's enough or not, so I'm going to press this tool so that I can drag from the Z axis downward. So if I start to drag now, I can see that it is not affecting these two vertices, so meaning that the proportional editing influence is not big enough, so you need to increase the size by, if you have a mouse wheel, use the, if you are using a mouse, use the mouse wheel to increase the size of the influence area. If you don't, if you are using the touchpad, I mean your laptop's touchpad, you can do this with two fingers, scroll up and down. If that doesn't work, you might want to add some assist. You can check it up online, assistive touchpad, I think, something like that. How to use two fingers on my keyboard, something like that. So it will come up and you can use two fingers to scroll to increase the size of your of the influence. Okay, so now I press escape to, get rid of this circle so that I can use this tool, and then I'm just going to move it downwards a bit. So we move it down as much as we want. Go to front view and see if it's actually not going way too far. Okay, so yeah, I think that's enough. That's cool. So the next thing, okay, first let's shade smooth so that we don't see all those, polygons, and come here and add, what is it called, solidify modifier to give it some thickness. You can see we have some thickness, and if this is too fat for you, you can reduce it. So I'm gonna go for 0.02 from my hand here. So you can, keep going and keep adding more details, but what I want to do is, in edit mode, to be able to see your vertices, you kind of want to turn this guy on and you'll be able to see. I want to see if I can add an edge loop here to hold this side together. Okay, great, I can actually do that. So I want to add just a little bit of details. I want you to add an edge loop here and here, but I don't want those edge loops to go this far. I don't want them to span from beginning to the end. I only want them to start from here and end somewhere around here. So I'm gonna add an edge loop here first. Make sure Solidify is above subdivision modifier, please. Turn off subdivision so you can see what you are doing properly. And I want to, I'll turn off subdivision. Make sure Solidify is above subdivision, then apply Solidify now. So once we apply this, the thickness is here forever. Like, you can no longer, increase the thickness or reduce the thickness. So if I turn this back on, let's see if we still have. Okay, great. So now, to do that, we're gonna hide these two faces hidden. If we come close, you can see it actually hidden, and I can select these two and hide them. So now if I should, we can head slide, move him that way, and I can add a new edge loop and try to put it somewhere in the middle like that. And then I'm gonna add another edge loop here, make it 2, add another edge loop here and make it 2. So now if we go to face selection mode, select this, and this, there we go. We can actually extrude those selection up. Let's press E to select them and just move it up just a little bit like that. You can barely see the changes, but I've done it. If we zoom in, you can see those. So I'm going to press Alt H to unhide the faces that we hid the other time. And if we turn this back on, you can see that something really you can't really, you know, get what is happening. But how you can fix this is add an edge loop here, then slide it all the way back. Then you're gonna see it's back in shape, and then we're gonna do the same thing to this side. Add another edge loop, then it's back in shape. And if we go to, you can actually see the pattern that we just added. So you can shade smooth. Let's see if we turn this on. Okay. No. Do we want that? Yeah, you can do that as well. Let's go to object data, auto smooth, and you're gonna have something more nice. And remember, if you want to make these edges even more sharper, these edges you can add edge loop like this. Just come here and add edge loop to be sharp. You can add edge loop to each side. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to press Ctrl Z because we don't really have much time. And we would give this some materials. So you go to shading. From shading here, and click on new. Add a new material. We're gonna call it spoon. I think I already have a material named spoon here. Okay, I have a material. So what I did was I turn on metallic. Okay, turn off roughness or give it a little bit of roughness. Let's see. Okay, I'll give it a little bit of roughness like this. So that it has some roughness. Spectacular is not going to do anything because metallic is turned on. So, or maybe it's a little bit of metallic, a little bit of roughness, something like that. It's up to you. You can change the color, you can red spoon, green spoon, whatever spoon that you like. That's all for this tutorial. Okay guys, thank you for watching, and please subscribe my channel, comment, like my video, and share this video with your friends. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.